All right, so right now I am at the beautiful Reed's Lake out in East Grand Rapids. And in this video, we're gonna be going over the pros and cons of living in East Grand Rapids, and it's coming up right now. For thanks to doing Sights to See, you are now watching Live Great TV, and I am your official host to Living Great in Grand Rapids and the West Michigan area. My name is Vaughn Greathouse. Hey, if you want to know more about the Grand Rapids area and what it's like to live, work, and have fun in West Michigan, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and tap that notification bell, or at least hit the like button so you won't miss out on all the brand new videos that I put out each and every week. Because honestly, I love making these videos for you. But even more than that, as a licensed real estate agent in the state of Michigan, I love helping you make that transition over to the West Michigan area. So that number, that email coming across your screen right now, that's my direct contact. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out. I'm glad to hear from you. And with that being said, let's get into the video. All right, so right now I am currently at Reed's Lake in East Grand Rapids. It's absolutely beautiful. This is one of the highlights to the town of East Grand Rapids. And I love coming out here because it's a friendly environment. There's a lot of people hanging out, whether they're just flying kites or just going to get something to eat, just to hang out, kill some time for the day. This is an awesome area that a lot of people from the Grand Rapids region just look forward to coming to. Now, around Reed's Lake is about 4.7 miles all the way around. So there's people who I've even watched and met around here who this is their normal route. They have their daily exercise routine and they walk around Reed's Lake and they absolutely love it. So coming out here, seeing the nature, going to see Reed's Lake, there's always people on the water, especially during the summer months. Mostly in the wintertime, you kind of see people ice fishing and things like that, of course, during the wintertime. However, when you're out here during the summer, there's never a dull moment, and you'll absolutely love it if you're considering East Grand Rapids. So with that being said, let's get into pro number one of living in East Grand Rapids, which is going to be the parks and the trails. From the manicured lawns of Collins Park on the shores of Reed's Lake to hiking trails through Waterfront Park, the boardwalks extended all the way out to Reed's Lake, there's something very special about the outdoor life here. Most parks and many of the natural areas are accessible to those with physical disabilities. The city of East Grand Rapids provides a wide variety of recreational opportunities for residents within its city's parks. The city has a total of 10 parks and natural areas and 5 public school sites that feature recreational facilities and comprise 179 acres of public use land. This includes approximately 72 acres of currently undeveloped land for future recreational space. The parks in the area include Reed's Lake Trail, John Collins Park, a public boat launch, Manhattan Park, Waterfront Park, Remington Park, and Griffiths Park, to name a few. All right, now there are a lot of parks around here. It's very natural, there's a lot of wooded areas. It's absolutely beautiful. One of the things that sticks out to me, especially just hanging out and being out here, is going to be Gaslight Village. Gaslight Village is a small, quaint area of the downtown of East Grand Rapids in the city, but it's so cool. Just going down there, seeing some of the boutique shops, going to Jersey Junction to grab an ice cream cone, or just hang out for the day and just enjoy the weather, or just go for a walk. It is one of those places where you can spend hours here and not even realize it because it's so naturally beautiful. This charming business district is the heart of East Grand Rapids. You can find a variety of restaurants, boutiques, service providers, groceries, and goodies as you explore the streets. And the sidewalks are heated in the winter, making it a pleasant stroll any time of the year. Make sure to stop by Jersey Junction and enjoy a tasty ice cream cone as you tour the area. All right, that is pro number one. Now I want to get into con number one of living in East Grand Rapids, and that's going to be the size. It's not that big of a city compared to Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids has somewhere around 400,000 residents, whereas East Grand Rapids only has 11 to 12,000. So it's a smaller town. If you like small towns, you'll probably like it. But if you want some of that expansive city living, you're not going to find that as much here in the East Grand Rapids area. So as you're going along, you'll see familiar faces, especially if you're living here, you're living in the area. It's one of those type of towns where people get to know you. They see your face quite often. They're gonna say, hi, Jim, or hi, Carrie, or whatever your name is, and they'll get to know you. So as you're living here, if you're thinking of moving to East Grand Rapids, just know that it is not as big as Grand Rapids City. This is a smaller part of town, and that's something that's a con to some people, but hey, maybe to you it's a bonus. All right, we're getting into pro number 2 of living in East Grand Rapids, and that's going to be the food and the drinks that are out here. I absolutely love coming to eat dinner, whether it's right here at Rose's, watching the water, sitting right on Reed's Lake and having dinner, or if it's right downtown, going to Bodie's or Olive's. There's great places to eat if you're coming down here. The drinks are fabulous. So coming out for dinner is a huge highlight. A lot of the people who live here in the area, they look forward to dinners. They really like to eat out. So having these places right at your fingertips is really gonna be a treat when it comes to living in East Grand Rapids. You're not too far from either Rose's. It's very walkable down here. So if you're looking to have those areas where, like I said, you have familiar faces, it's a quaint sort of town, but the food here is second to none. Some of the other food places right around here are places like Wolfgang's, Terra GR, there's Matchbox, a lot of places to eat. And if you're a foodie, you definitely don't want to miss out on East Grand Rapids, checking out the area, because you're never too far from a good meal. You always want to look forward to something new in this area. Sitting on the east side of the city are highly sought after East Grand Rapids neighborhoods. The east side is filled with shopping and is home to some of the best restaurants in Grand Rapids, Michigan. There are many brunch and dinner restaurants scattered throughout the east side. Now, upon meeting some of the locals, just hanging out, enjoying the day, I had a nice cup of coffee here, just was relaxing and got to talking to a few folks. And specifically in East Grand Rapids, there are a couple of key restaurants, places like Rose's, Bodie's Chop House, Olive's, just to name a few of the places you can go eat. And ultimately, the folks who are here, they say, you know what, there's great restaurants here, but even within a close distance, a stone's throw away, you have places like Harmony Brewing Company, which has some of the best pizza in the city. Another spot is going to be The Grove, or you can go to Brewery Vivant. It's not too far away. Cherry Inn is also another notable good place to get for brunch. So there are some highlighted places to eat right here, whether you're right in East Town or if you're in the heart of East Grand Rapids. So knowing that ahead of time, some of the best places to look out for, you're definitely not going to want to miss out. I actually have included in the description a link to some of the better places to eat in the area. So if you're looking for a great bite to eat, make sure you check those out. All right, now let's get into con number 2 in East Grand Rapids, and that is going to be there's not really a nightlife scene here. So unlike Grand Rapids downtown, where there's tons to do in the evening, whether it's a comedy club or you want to go to a bar, piano bar, go dancing, there's not a ton of that in this area. So there are great restaurants that stay open a little bit later, but it kind of shuts down. Like after midnight, there's not a ton to do out here. So if that's something you're looking for in a place to move, you're not going to find that much of it here. Maybe there's some place I don't know about, but as far as I know, talking from experienced people who are locals, myself living here, there isn't just a scene for that. So if that's something you're looking for, that's something you definitely want to take note of as you're coming to the East Grand Rapids area. All right, now we're getting into pro number 3 of living in East Grand Rapids, and that is going to be the school system. East Grand Rapids schools are among some of the top schools in the state of Michigan. So if you're into academics, if you have children who are looking, you want them to be in some of the best schools, look no further. This is probably the best school district within the Grand Rapids region amongst, school areas as far as Forest Hills. But these are some of the top schools in the area. So if you're looking for sports, academics, whether it's science, music, all these sorts of things, the arts, you're gonna find it right here in the East Grand Rapids school districts. They pour a lot into the students because they know the students are the future, and they want to put as much as possible into these schools as they can. If school systems are important to you, please make sure to look into East Grand Rapids schools because it is amongst some of the best in the area. East Grand Rapids High School is one of Grand Rapids' most competitive high schools and one of the best schools in the country. The motto of a tradition of excellence is a commitment, a challenge, and an expectation to the students and community. Each parent expects the best possible learning environment and rigorous curriculums that prepares their students for a successful future. I have also included the link to the EGR school system so you can have firsthand information. Contact any of the superintendents or the principals just to get a better grasp from the people that are actually there. I know the parents are very involved in the school system, and if you are as well, get teamed up with them if this is something that's important to you. All right, now we're gonna get into con number 3, and that is going to be East Grand Rapids is sort of close to the airport. Now, granted, if you are a traveler and you like to leave and travel and go different places and you're considering East Grand Rapids as a place to live, the airport might be a huge perk to you, but sometimes they'll get planes that are a little bit lower here. It's not a huge deal here, but it does happen from time to time. So I wanted to point out that it's close to the airport, and some people just don't like that. They're just not comfortable with it, and they don't want to live anywhere near an airport. So that's one of the drawbacks as far as doing some of the research online, looking in some of the forums as some of the things that point out. I've also put in the description a link to some of the forums that you can get involved in to find out what some of the negatives may be for you as you're considering moving to East Grand Rapids. All right, now we're getting into pro number 4 of living in East Grand Rapids, and that's going to be the beautiful homes and the beautiful property that is in East Grand Rapids. Upon coming out to East Grand Rapids, especially leaving the Easttown area, you definitely know that you're in East Grand Rapids. Some of the most beautiful homes in the entire West Michigan region you will find right here in East Grand Rapids. And the architecture, there's some of the best houses I've seen, whether they're right here and you're looking at them on Reed's, you're actually looking at them on Reed's Lake, where they've taken the time out, the architects and the builders have taken the time out to really get detailed into some of the specifics. There's not that cookie cutter type of environment out here. So if you're looking for a house with character, a home that has great value, you're going to find that out here in the East Grand Rapids region because there's quite no place like it as you're coming out here. So driving through some of the towns, I'll try to put some of these homes in the area so you can see a good idea of what the representation of East Grand Rapids is. People just do remodeling. They like to put a lot of care into their homes and their property and really make the house a home. On one of the things that may come up as far as my experience in real estate here is some of these people who live here, they have bigger lots. Some of them don't. So knowing where you're moving to and finding out what particular part of the neighborhood is for you definitely takes a stroll through the area just to see how much space is in between the houses. Some of them are close, like I said, some of them aren't. So knowing exactly what is a fit for you is of the utmost importance, but nonetheless, you are going to find a beautiful home in this area. East Grand Rapids is the best city to live in Michigan, according to the report of the best cities to live in each state by the Wall Street Journal and by USA Today. East Grand Rapids is one of the wealthiest cities in both Michigan and the US. The typical household earns $141,000 per year compared to $67,000, which is a typical household nationwide. And that's according to the US Census. All right, now we're getting into con number 4 of living in East Grand Rapids, and that is going to be, this is not really a place for young professionals. Now, if you're looking as a young professional, a lot of times it's you're building up, you're getting things going, and usually that happens in the lower age range. But now, according to the US Census, the average age here is 38.1. So a lot of the people who are living here are established people, family-oriented people, a lot of second homes, a lot of third homes are in the area, lake houses, what have you. So if this is something that you're looking forward to, you want to move to East Grand Rapids, it's not really built for a first-time type of house. However, you definitely can move into it. It's just not set out for that type of thing as far as the young professional scene goes. Now, the average person purchases their house somewhere between 30 and 32 years old. Now, having the median age range be at 38.1, you can see that this is more of an established area, a more established neighborhood, and a lot of things in regards to that show. It's not really a late night place. It has the best school system, so it's easy to see that a lot of people who live here have the important things such as school systems and just having some peace and quiet out here. So that's one of the things to point out. If you're a young professional looking to the area, not to say that you can't or you shouldn't move here, it just isn't built for that type of environment. All right, we are at pro number 5 of living in East Grand Rapids, and that's going to be that there is a full service government right here in East Grand Rapids. The city of East Grand Rapids offers its residents snow plowing, water, sewer service, street and sidewalk maintenance, yard waste and fall leaf pickup, tree planting programs, and hundreds of recreation and leisurely activities for all ages. City offices are open full-time to answer your questions and assist with signing up for programs and services. You'll rarely have to wait to talk to a person in regards to your water bill or to sign up for an upcoming art class. One thing that is also notable to mention is that East Grand Rapids, they have their own police force. So as far as a community-oriented type of place, there's always things to do in the area of East Grand Rapids. There's always a good time. There's always something nature-y going on, whether you just want to walk around Reed's Lake or hit one of the parks, if you want to ride bikes. It doesn't matter. If you're in East Grand Rapids to enjoy a great living, look no further, because this is one of the best places to live in the West Michigan region. All right, we are at the last and final con to living in East Grand Rapids, and this one I hear all the time, and that's going to be the high property taxes. So, according to looking at the numbers of who has the highest property taxes, East Grand Rapids ranked number 2 on the list of all of the cities in Kent County as the highest property taxes. This is second to Forest Hills area, and that's one of the prominent things in the area that I talk to a lot of the locals, and even speaking from people who live here and people who live nearby, that's just something that stands out to them. I was talking with another couple here while I was getting a cup of coffee, and I asked them, you know, why didn't you move out to East Grand Rapids? And they said the property taxes. They said our kids are out of the house, our children are out of the house, and we just didn't really want that type of thing. So if high property taxes are a con for you, make sure you take note of that as you're coming out to the area, and just look into it a little bit further. I know that some houses are higher than others, so doing your due diligence based on what you're looking for specifically, just know that that's something that the locals look into as they're making the decision to move to East Grand Rapids. Now, with those high property taxes, what are they doing with all that money? They're doing things such as pouring them back into the city government, and they're putting it back into their students because they have a highly rated and highly ranked school system. I've put a link for niche.com, which is a site that I reference from time to time, in the description. So if you're looking for some of the best schools, this is why you're gonna see those high property taxes. It's very clean here, very naturey. This is the type of environment where they're just on top of things. So those high property taxes do go to a cause, and they are for a specific reason. So people who are coming out here who's like, you know what, I don't mind it. As long as my property is in good shape, the schools are great, I love the area, I love the environment. It's not a big deal to me. So if it's not a big deal for you, make sure you to check out East Grand Rapids. And that's it. Those are the pros and cons of living in East Grand Rapids. Again, for things to do and sights to see, this is Live Great TV, and I'm your official host to Living Great in Grand Rapids and the West Michigan area. My name is Vaughn Greathouse. Hey, if you want to know more about the Grand Rapids area and what it's like to live, work, and have fun in West Michigan, make sure you hit that subscribe button, slap that notification bell, or at least hit the like button below so you won't miss out on all the brand new videos that I put out each and every week, because I love making these videos for you. But even more than that, as a licensed real estate agent in the state of Michigan, I love helping you make that transition over to the West Michigan area. So that number and that email coming across your screen right now, that's my direct contact info. Yes, I'm the one who answers those calls and messages. So with that being said, we will see you on the next video.